right, you ready?
You let me know when you are.
Yeah, let's do it.
Welcome everybody inside the first ever live episode of the LISN Overtime Podcast. This episode, number 9, is going to be the playoff preview. So we will jump right into it. We are set, have our 8 teams. We'll get into that in just a little bit. For those of you that also don't know, I'm Dylan Flynn. It's Vin Matula. Middle Country's number 1 color guy, as shown last night.
Yeah.
But no, a lot of exciting stuff happened this week that got us set up for the playoffs. We'll kick it off with Monday's action. Kings Park, Ward Melville. Knights came out searching for something in that game. Shook up the lines.
Yeah.
Michael Brazel was not playing on that first line with Nicholas Berhalter and Billy Prang. Instead, it was Dylan Quinn, I believe.
Yeah.
So they got shut out in that first period, as we stated in the broadcast, 4 consecutive shutout periods, not like the Kings Park Comac Knights.
Right.
But they ended up finding it towards the end. They scored 6 goals.
Yeah, and I think they needed that sort of jolt, that sort of wake-up call, and this was kind of a game where you want to obviously have the confidence in the room. It's a game you shouldn't be losing, period, to a Ward Melville team that's already out of the playoffs, and I think they did a really good job of it as the game went along. I know for you personally, you were very curious to see how the Knights would come out in this game after not playing their best against St. Anthony's. They get shut out against them, and they have the tie against Midtown, so they didn't have they didn't have wins going into this final stretch here, which the teams have kind of needed in order to get that confidence up in the room. And I think this was a really good response game from them, if you will.
It was a game they absolutely needed, a game they needed to win. And we'll get more into them later and what that game kind of meant for them and how they're finishing down the stretch. But the nightcap to that was West Islip Northport, and West Islip had a chance to clinch a playoff spot with a victory,
Right.
and they ended up losing a 5-2 lead in the third.
Yeah, Northport really just had that no quit mentality, and they really just took it to them in the third period. And I really applaud Northport's effort because that's a kind of game where the Tigers can't move up, they can't move down. They're solidified in the 60th. They give the start to Evan Schubert, who had some really good saves as the game went along too, to keep it where it was at for the longest time. And they just kept on going. You had late goals by Belts, Collins, Paragallo ties it up. He had 2 in the contest. I think that's a really good effort for Northport. And I think they're a team to really watch in this final stretch, in this final upcoming week here, as they prepare for a tough playoff matchup.
Yeah, they got really good responses from all of their players, so they're clicking at the right time. And like we've stated all season, it's a broken record at this point. If everyone is there for that team, then that's when they'll take off.
Yeah.
They'll get Angel Spinelli in net for the playoffs. Right. Schubert played better towards the end of the hockey game, made some timely saves when needed, but it'll definitely come down to Angel Spinelli in that playoff game.
Absolutely.
And then we move into Wednesday. Last night, we had Smithtown, St. Anthony's, and that game looked like it was just all ice fryers from start to finish, barring one Adam Lakowitz goal that TJ Olmschneider is going to really want that.
Yeah, I mentioned it to you as soon as that goal happened, where Olmschneider's got to save it. But listen, when you're a goalie, especially in this varsity division, you got to have a short-term memory. Olmschneider sure did, and he locked it down after that. I mean, he had some really nice help from his defense. Obviously, the offense was there and flying for him. Quite honestly, too, you look at it, that game's 2-1 going into the third. So, obviously, Citron exits that game with what appeared to be a little bit of a lower back injury. We hope the best for him. Obviously, he's going to want to play come playoff time. But if not, there might be a little bit of concern there for the Bulls going forward here.
And what benefits them is they actually have 2 extra days off in a weird way. Like, you never want to lose that game.
Right.
But if they had won, they would have played Monday. Instead, they lose, and now they play Wednesday.
True.
But never something you want to do going into playoffs or at any point this season. You never want to try to lose.
Sure.
And I'm saying they were trying to, but those 2 days could maybe prove pivotal should they need to give Jake Citron some extra time. So we'll see how that plays out.
Absolutely.
And then we capped it off with East Islip versus Middle Country. Chiefs needed to win, simple as that, and they took care of business, and they are your 22-23 regular season champs.
Yeah, they get the job done, 2 goals in each frame there, and that was another one where they poured it on in the shots department as well. I think they had over 40 shots in the contest. I think they had some real good contributions all around. Anacha obviously doing his thing. Ivers joins the 10-10 club, and Anacha finishes with 40 points on the year. A real stellar campaign by him. But you see the depth guys come through too. Guys like Marizito and Pepe, who were in the junior varsity playoffs last year with that Chiefs team, they come up doing their thing. Slattery gets on the score sheet, and of course, Dixon with the shutout. He locks the door down and puts the icing on the cake, as they say.
Yeah, that defense really clamped down in front of him, played superbly well. It's really been their calling card all season. They didn't change anything. They kept consistent the whole season,
Right.
and it showed. They are the official #1 team in Suffolk County heading into the playoffs. And yeah, the Anatra 40 points. We had 3 40-point players this season. Michael Brazel taking home the points and goal scoring title. Anatra had 40, 22 and 18. Kunkowski had 24 and 16. So correction, Kunkowski and Brazel split the goal scoring title.
Okay.
Brazel gets points, and then Nicholas Berhalter takes home the assist title.
Wow. Yeah.
So that'll round out your
Scores.
score
Yeah.
titles for the regular season.
Right.
And then we'll have playoffs, and I think it all gets meshed together. So
Yeah.
that will all kind of just conglomerate. But we'll move into it now. With that last week, we have our playoff matchups set up, ready to go. We kick it off Monday. We just touched on them. They're the 1 seed. The East Islip Chiefs take on the West Islip Lions. Round 1, game 1, 1v8. This could be a good one.
It could be, yeah. West Islip's playing some really good hockey at the right time. Obviously, I think the one negative thing you have to look for in their direction is that obviously they squandered the 3-goal lead against the Tigers back on, that was Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So I think that's the one negative in the Lions' perspective. But all in all, like, the things that we had questioned for the longest time this season with them, I think is finally coming into play with them. And obviously, we've said it all along, with the playoff, it's one game. You win or you go home. So I think with West Islip, you look at their depth scoring and you compare it from now up until October, November, when they weren't getting that. And I think they're a little more dangerous in that department. And you mentioned their power play, too. And good teams convert on their power play chances, and their power play is not one to be messed with at this point in time.
It's not, and I keep saying that they need to take less penalties, does East Islip.
Right.
But they score a good amount of shorthanded goals. I believe they led the league in shorthanded goals.
East Islip?
Yes.
Yeah. Believe you're right.
Yes, I think they did, because they scored another one last night, and I believe that was 12 for them. But the West Islip power play is clicking as well. Both teams' power plays are really on point, like you said. West Islip outranks them. It's 12 shorthanded goals for them, and the next closest was 8. So it is interesting to see. Like, you don't want to give West Islip the power play chances,
Right.
and that probably is going to be the key. But I think East Islip has the defensive prowess and the ability to get out and score, that they can maybe come back from it in an early round game, but I don't know about a later round game if they advance.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree, and I think the thing too, West Islip isn't that one team where they're going to take a lot of penalties like East Islip is, and obviously the playoffs are the highest level of intensity that there's going to be. So I think it comes down to if West Islip can keep their cool, if both teams realistically can keep their cool, because if East Islip can't keep their cool, they're going to have guys in the box, and those penalty killers are going to be tired for them, and the West Islip power play is just it's good right now. Let's call a spade a spade. Me personally, I think they're maybe one of the top 3 power plays in the playoffs right now.
They've been working the backdoor play very efficiently, and it's worked. No one's figured it out yet. They didn't really get many opportunities to instill it against Northport, but it's looked really good down the stretch.
Yeah.
So had the Lions. I think getting Kieran Pollard out in space, East Islip does a really nice job of playing physically,
Right.
and that does tend to translate into when they take the penalties. But you can't allow Kieran Pollard to feel like he can't move out there.
No.
If Kieran Pollard can move in space, we saw it against Northport. He was up and down the ice the whole time. Got them going. Had 5 points in their last game. He's going to be the key to this one. If he's playing well, then they're going to be right there in it.
Absolutely, yeah, and I just think you had mentioned this a while back when they meaning West Islip had played Kings Park, in the sense of how they played him defensively. I think if you're able to limit him getting into the middle of the ice and obviously getting that lethal shot off of his, I think if you're East Islip, you have a really good chance at winning this one. But I think you can't discount what their depth scoring has brought to the table. Thomas Miller, another one. He's really just in transition, especially, which is ironic to say, considering East Islip is arguably the best transition team in the county, not just going into the West, but this season overall. I think he's one player where you kind of have to work around him and see if you can get Pollard a little bit of an opening chance, because in the case of West Islip here, when they get those opportunities in the offensive zone, you got to convert. It's as simple as that, because East Islip doesn't give up much in their own zone.
No, they haven't. They haven't at all. They're right up there amongst the league leaders in goals against.
Mm-hmm.
St. Anthony's actually ended up taking that title home, which shocked you a little bit, put a little shock in your system. But East Islip was actually second. So St. Anthony's gave up 43, East Islip gave up 45, Smithtown and Kings Park 47 apiece. So East Islip's defense is legit, and so is their goal scoring. They actually took home the team goal scoring title, 107, beating out Kings Park 106.
Yeah.
So the numbers are coming into play here, and it's all kind of balancing out with where it should be. We touched on, too, they eclipsed their win total last night from last year. Had 14 last year, 14-6. Now they're 15-3-2 this season. 1 seed as opposed to the 4 seed. See if they can make a run after they got bounced last year in the first round by the team that is matching up in Game 2 Monday night against the Kings Park Comac Knights, Connecticut Sayville. That's the 2-7. And we talked about it a little bit after last night. The matchups were set. Kings Park has looked not in a speed sense, but slow in just they're not generating the explosive offense they were early on.
Right.
And in a weird way, I think the best thing for them was getting the 2 seed, because if they matched up with West Islip, I would have really, really liked West Islip in that game.
So I know we had both mentioned last pod about Connecticut Sayville's struggles, and we both kind of agreed that the confidence with that team is lower. I just wonder for Kings Park if, like you said, the explosive goal scoring isn't as where it was. Now, granted, they score 6 against the Ward Melville. Ward Melville's out of the playoffs, as we said before, so I don't want to say that's a little bit of skewed information right there, but in the same token, it's like Connecticut doesn't score much either. So I think, obviously, from a goal scoring standpoint, it benefits Kings Park here, but I think with Connecticut, it's like we said, you got to win that game like 2-1. There's no other way around it. And me in particular, was very critical of Connecticut last episode, because just the goal scoring's not there. Their defense has not looked sharp.
They're not an aggressive team.
No, we've mentioned that before too. Yeah, so I don't know how they're gonna do it against the Kings Park team that all season up until about this past month has looked lethal on the offense. And
well, if I asked you who's their best player, right? Like overall, who's their best player?
Connecticut?
Yeah,
it's Marchese.
Okay, who's their second best player?
Fleischauer.
Okay, yeah, you're not really getting at what I'm getting here. They're gonna have to ride Matt Hughes.
Yeah, exactly.
Matt Hughes is gonna have to win them this game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just what it's gonna come down to. They're gonna have to get a bounce, a tip in front against O'Neal, who's gonna be back, and Matt Hughes is gonna have to just find a way. The defense is gonna have to step up. Marchese is not gonna be able to have the offensive game that he wants.
Right.
You're gonna have to rely on the Fleischauers, the Campanolas, the
Mercado,
Tom Forty, Mercado. Even Mercado has to drop back. Your defense, it's too late now to be aggressive. It's too late. You need to clamp down defensively, because you've seen that this Kings Park team is facing adversity. They're scrambling.
Yeah.
They are scrambling. Like, they switched up the lines in that last game, and maybe it was for fun. But we spoke to some people after the game that gave us a little insight that the coaches knew, like, they needed to get a kick in the pants here for this team. The best power play of the varsity division, 20 goals. They just looked off over these last couple games. So there's obviously a sense of urgency here among the coaching staff that something needs to get going here.
Yeah.
So if you're Connecticut Sayville, feel like you can have a chance going in, but know that you cannot be overly aggressive in this game. You just have to stick with going in the motions, which is weird because we've wanted them to be more aggressive throughout the season, but you need to put defense first here and take away the legs of Kings Park. Yeah. And then just go down the other end and take whatever you get.
Absolutely. Now, my question to you is this. You mentioned Hughes before. He in particular is going to have to deal in this game. Are you at this point pretty much saying like he's got to start in order for them to have a shot? Let's reword that a little differently. Are you confident if they give the net to Keel or Tolikowski? It's a very loaded question here. But it's one game. It's one game. It's a tough decision. We mentioned it last episode where they're the only team with 3 goaltenders, 2 of them being seniors this year. Hughes, the lone non-senior, being a junior. Is he your best option to win this game?
Well, we'll look at it. Matt Hughes has your best goals against average, 4.03. Tolikowski's 4.58, so he's right there. They both allowed 30 goals.
Right.
Hughes has played one more game. Keel just hasn't, I feel like, had the confidence as of late.
Right.
He's a good goaltender in his own right, but he just hasn't really had the security and that, just I can go do it. Like, trying to think of who they were talking about. Somebody mentioned this to me that, Agavino.
Yep.
With Zarugian.
Yep.
What did George Zarugian say to you about TJ Agavino? That he just didn't seem confident on defense anymore. So what did he do?
Put him forward. Look at him go.
And he's blossomed.
Yeah.
So these coaches know how to get the best out of their players.
Of course.
And right now, Matt Hughes is your best goaltender.
Right.
He has given up 1 power play goal. He's given up 3 shorthanded goals, but we have to go back and look at those. Is that on the defense? Is he getting hung out to dry?
Yeah.
How many shorthanded goals is he stopping? He's put up 1 shutout. He's played over 300 minutes. The 403 is good for where this team is right now. They're young. They're trying to get their footing in the varsity division.
Sure.
So, I think it's Matt Hughes over the other 2. And if they start one of the other 2, then so be it.
Yeah.
That's what they want to roll with. But I think if you're playing to win here, it's Matt Hughes.
Yeah, and listen, it's not a knock on those other 2. I'm only asking from the sheer fact because it's like yes, they have the 3 goaltenders. They're the only team in the division with 3 goaltenders. But they're not going to be the only team that has to make that tough decision. And we'll get more into this a little bit later on, but there are other teams in this playoff field that are going to have to make a really difficult decision in goal. Either it be because their goalies are playing so well at the same time or because both goalies senior, whatever the case might be. They're one team where you have to make this tough decision and you got to just make the decision and you just live with it. It's as simple as that.
Well, another team that has to make a tough decision is the team that kicks off our Wednesday quarterfinal action, the St. Anthony's Ice Friars. Was not sure who they were going to give the nod to on Wednesday last night against the Bulls. Ended up being Olmschneider.
Yeah.
To my surprise, ever so slightly, but not at the same time because he's been playing very well this season. Who do you give the nod to against Northport Huntington?
It's tough. It's really tough. Now, the Olmschneider thing's interesting because they did have a Catholic League game on Monday night. I forgot who they were playing, but I believe Berhard got the start in that, so that may have also played into the factor of decision making as well. For the most part, they have split this season, so keep that in mind. So I think that's a good sign there too. It's tough. Like you will do the same as what you said. You look into the stats a little bit more here. They're very similar in the sense of goals allowed this season. Olmschneider has a little bit of the advantage as far as games played goes.
That's a good point you bring up, though, about the Catholic League. We don't see that. We don't cover that. So Brian Berhard could be playing more there, and then Olmschneider could be playing more here.
Right.
And it just depends on maybe their coexisting schedules. That's something that we don't really take into consideration enough, possibly, is what are they doing when they're, playing in those leagues? Because we don't even get to see the stats for that stuff here on the county website.
Right.
But I mean, as far as Suffolk County goes, yes, TJ Olmschneider is having the better statistical season, but Ryan Berhardt's been very hot as of late.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'd mentioned that Olmschneider, gave them a lift when they needed it the most during the early portion of the season when they were quite honestly struggling. They've found their groove now, and even Berhardt's found his groove. They both each have multiple shutouts this year, which I don't think can be overlooked. I don't think there's a bad option there, obviously. I think they're both very stellar goaltenders. Obviously, we saw what Ryan Berhardt did in the playoffs last year. He's the county finals MVP. I don't think you cannot take that away from him at this point.
No.
I think we mentioned earlier the lone goal that Olmschneider gave up yesterday was a bad break. Like, that's just, like, you got to have it. I mentioned it to you. Like, Smithtown goes up in the period after 1-0, and the first thing I said to you, quote, Olmschneider's got to have that. Let's be honest. Olmschneider's got to have that. And I think he knows it too. And listen, I said before, these goalies, you got to have a a short-term memory, especially with the postseason. You cannot let one goal bother you because before you know it, you'll have 3 or 4 more behind the back of the net. And Olm Schneider did his thing against a real quality Smithtown team, a real rivalry game. So, again, the Catholic League thing is interesting. I don't know their next. They actually St. Anthony's plays Chaminade Friday. That's a big game. They have not beaten Chaminade yet in Catholic League play this season. Do you give the? I think it goes as simple as this. Whoever doesn't play against Chaminade Friday plays in the game on Wednesday. I think it's as simple as that.
I mean, that's possible. I don't really know what the ideology behind the coaching philosophy is over there.
Right.
Is the message that, Ryan, you're going to get a majority of the Catholic League starts, and TJ, you'll get sprinkled in. TJ, you're going to get a majority of the Suffolk League starts, and Ryan, you'll get sprinkled in.
Right.
We're just going to flip a coin.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's always a better problem to have when your goaltenders are playing this well than as opposed to you have no idea who you're going to throw back there.
Right.
You might as well flip a coin because nobody's stopping puck.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's an interesting decision.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, the team that doesn't have to make a decision is the team on the other side of this matchup.
Correct.
With the Ice Friars' victory last night, they locked up a date with the Northport Huntington Tigers.
Yeah.
Their decision is very clear. Now it's a matter of, is everybody there on Wednesday night? They played, when did Northport play? They played
Wednesday, I believe.
Monday. Northport played Monday.
That's right. Yeah.
And everybody was there Monday. So now is everyone there Wednesday? Or do travel problems come into play?
Yeah, and we had talked to a league source yesterday, and there's been concern about how the playoffs are shaping out, i.e. being on a Monday, the standard ice slot we've seen on a Monday and the standard ice slot we've seen on a Wednesday, and the immediate concern for a good portion of teams has been travel commitments, and they were like, look, it's not our problem at this point. Like this is the playoffs. Like we're not going to make special accommodations just for everyone having their full teams there. It's as simple as that. You either show up or you don't. It's
the thing we're up against too is time. Like the rinks is closing after this season,
Yeah.
so we don't just have our free will of let's move it back a couple days and go into March.
Yeah.
And we have the state tournament coming up too, so that's also a time crunch.
Sure.
But get better seeding. The
Right.
1 and 2 seeds are getting Monday. What's really interesting for Northport is they play the early game Wednesday. So whereas like Smithtown and SCHSHL maybe could get some kids back after travel practice, Northport might be right up against it if people have conflicts, or you just got to miss travel practice.
Right.
I don't know how big of a deal that is.
Yeah, me neither.
If it is, who knows?
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. If Northport's full roster's there, that should be a really good game.
Absolutely.
They made a really nice comeback. Obviously, you didn't get the win, but it's got to be giving you some momentum heading into this game. They've been playing well as of late, coming down the stretch. Had a rough start to the season, but won 3 of their last 6, tied that last one. So they were 3-2-1 over those 6. Really close games every time. Lost 3-2 to East Islip, 5-2 to Sachem. Played really well against Connecticut and Ward Melville, 7-6 nothing.
Right.
So the scoring's starting to step up.
Absolutely.
Again, it's just a matter of everybody's there.
Yeah.
But that's the key for anybody, isn't it?
Last time Northport St. Anthony's played, St. Anthony's beat them 3-1, 1-1 throughout, and then St. Anthony scores 2 in the third. Northport's also missing Tyler Paragallo, who's found the offensive groove as of late, and they didn't start Angel. So I think the making is there to maybe we'll get into this a little bit later as far as upset alert, but again I think it all comes down to if Angel's hot and playing well in that contest, and if you have your full team there. The travel thing is a concern of mine because all of their players play a high-level travel. Collins is playing AAA. Gaffinoff plays AAA. Paragallo is an anchor for the Rebels team. Savaglio is playing AAA. The other Collins is playing. Like it's so fishy there, and it just comes down to can you miss it? This is barring they have a travel practice. Can you miss that travel practice?
We don't really know what the travel schedule looks like. Just like we don't know what the Catholic schedule looks like.
Yeah.
What is St. Anthony's doing? We're not there. We're not watching those games.
Right.
So it'll be really interesting to see come 7:50 on Wednesday who's present, who's not, because that's going to make or break that game for Northport. That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
And then the last matchup of the quarterfinals to round it out. Smithtown, Hauppauge, Sachem, that's your 4-5.
Yeah.
About as opposite of teams as you can get.
Yeah. Again, I think with that one, for me at least, I think it comes down to the health of Citron. Think about it too. And again, this is not a knock on Luke Pavone. Last time Sachem and Smithtown played, where Pavone started, he did not have a good game. It was as simple as that. He didn't have a good game. Sachem won without Konkowski. Konkowski's back healthy now. But again, too, with that being said, as far as Pavone's potentially starting in net, a lot of these kids on Sachem this year played junior varsity last year. So I think if it comes down to where Pavone does start, I think he's going to absolutely be motivated, because I think the biggest screw you to Sachem would be, if he goes out there, plays his heart out, and they go out and win the game. That's to me the ultimate question right there.
Yeah. If he is indeed called upon, because he needs to be, what can he take from his experiences last year, and what can he apply to this season, and what's his confidence level look like? I'm trying to think of when he's played. He has played after that Sachem game, so they've gotten it back up to an extent. But Jake Citron played a pretty good amount of the games heading down the stretch, knowing what was at stake as far as seeding and playoffs and trying to get into that spot. And in all honesty, he played well, but like you said, he wanted to get there early and kind of start locking in last night.
Yeah.
There's been times where he's kind of been scrambling out of the net a little bit, and his defense has needed to pick him up here and there, but he's always a reliable goaltender.
Absolutely.
Somebody that I would love to have backing my defense.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, is it taxing to have to have run through all these teams at the end, knowing that you need to kind of be perfect to lock up playoff spots. There's just games where he's given up goals that he would absolutely love to have back.
We would be careful though. He's in the live chat right now. So no, but listen, I mean, the games they've played down the stretch are games that they needed to win. They were against the top dogs in the county. Obviously, you got Kings Park, St. Anthony's last night. That's the rubber match as well. So that had some significant implications to it, as we saw. And then the Sachem game as well. So who they get their rematch with now? So I think Sachem too. A little bit shifting gears here. You look at Sachem and you say, okay, we were so close to coming back on them down 4 goals. We made it 4-3. I think this is where for them it's like, okay, can we essentially finish the job here? You came so close to coming back. You were 1 goal off realistically. Now it's like, okay, you have a full 45 minutes again to prove it. Go out there and finish the job.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they can clamp down on defense, because we know they have it. We know it's there. It's just a matter of, do they show up?
Yeah.
For Northport, it's do kids show up? It's for Sachem, it's did your defense show up? So, talking about what it's going to take, we'll switch into our next one, the keys to victory for all these teams. So we'll loop back up to the top here. We'll go back to our 1-8 matchup, East Islip, West Islip, and let's start with the regular season consensus number 1. What's it going to take for East Islip to move past West Islip?
I think it comes down to, honestly, we mentioned it before about the penalty minutes. That's a real big concern of mine. Now, granted, their penalty kill has been really good to this point. I think they're one of the tops. Yeah, they're 10 power play goals allowed. That's third best. Yeah, that's third best. Tied for third best. Yeah. So I think that's a concern of mine. I know we were also very critical of their lack of power play scoring, especially early on in the season. I think they've found that groove now.
They've kicked it up.
Yeah. So I think ultimately, I think this is a classic special teams battle, because again, Buccino's played well as of late. That's another one. That's another goaltending question mark right there. Buccino's played well as of late. Winter is senior as well. He had a strong performance at times in the Northport game. So I think that's a real big question of mine, as well as the goaltending. I think if West Islip's goaltending is hot, because East Islip has run into hot goaltending before. Even though they beat Middle Country when Sittler made that ridiculous amount of save total, they have had their instances where they've run into a hot goaltender.
Yeah, they have. And that's what it's, going to take for some of these teams is your goaltender hot that day. I think for East Islip, you just got to stay out of the penalty box. Don't allow West Islip to build the momentum off the power play. You got to step out to their defensemen. Alex Potato and Liam Henshaw have done a really nice job of taking the puck from the blue line, getting pucks to nets, and they've done a nice job of creating traffic in front, getting deflections, creating screens. But Potato and Henshaw absolutely have the scoring touch. They don't need the screens. They don't need the deflections. They can score on their own. But I think it's making sure that you negate Kieran Pollard without taking a penalty.
Right.
If you start taking penalties and trying to do too much against him. If you can't contain him and you start hooking and holding and hitting him and getting thrown in the penalty box, if it compounds, then they're going to build momentum and they're going to get all riled up. They have a lot of energy on that team.
My question to you is this: as far as the key for West Islip goes, is your key more so them getting depth scoring in that game, or is your key more so having one of their two goaltenders stealing them that game? Which is more important to you in that game?
For me, it's depth scoring because we talked about it with the decision making. I trust Braden Buccino and Ryan Winter equally in this game. I think Ryan Winter's really played well as of late, and we've talked about it. Buccino played well in the middle of the season, and he's still playing well. Ryan Winter has come on strong as of late, trying to make a case to be the playoff goaltender. So that's not my concern. My concern is, can you open up lanes for Kieran Pollard? Because this is going to be a speed race. You're going to go back and forth. Pollard racing up the ice. Iverson and Anatra racing up the ice. Teams going back and forth, playing ping pong and pond hockey. So can you outspeed them? Can you out-control the puck on them? And then can you get your Millers, Henshaws, Botettos, Contis, probably some players I'm forgetting. Can they score? Because Kieran Pollard is going to probably end up getting his at some point, some way, shape, or form. He'll create for himself. Can the rest of the team create for themselves?
Absolutely. The other thing I'm looking at, too, is from a paper standpoint, East Islip, most goals for this season. West Islip, most goals allowed, believe it or not, this season. I think, again, it's... Can your defense hold their own? Because, again, the goaltending isn't really, it's funny to say the goaltending really isn't a question of mine. I think it's because East Islip can roll out, and not saying West Islip can't roll out 3 or 4 lines, but East Islip can roll out 3 or 4 lines and put the puck in the back of the net with all those lines.
The big question is when the Merviak brothers, when Henshaw, Botetto, when they get put out there to stop Iverson, Natra, Magro, the Farazi, Lafada. I mean, the names are endless. It's insane.
That's my point.
It's insane to have to try to stop these people. But it's the same way you have to attack Kings Park. You have to stop that top line. You have to stop the top 3 players of Ryan Anatra, Thomas Ivers, and Anthony Pepe. And if the rest of the guys beat you, then so be it.
That's right.
That's the best team in varsity. But to have a chance, you have to contain those 3 guys because we've seen Ryan Anatra just single-handedly win games for this team. And they don't allow a lot of shots. They don't. No. So you need to make those shots count. We saw Kieran Pollard score on the first 2 shots of the game against Northport. That's what it's going to take. It's capitalizing on shots, getting high percentage looks, making them, nervous, shifty. Daddario and Brody are going to come at you, and they're going to try to hit you hard. They're going to make you fearful. Don't allow that to happen.
Burns, too.
Jesse Burns is... Jesse Burns, I think it was the first game I covered for East Islip this season, and it was against Middle Country, oddly enough. Ran over I think a Joseph Golod.
That
just
was.
Clear, just boom. And I was like, oh my goodness. That was, so he's he goes without saying. He's of another caliber where he can play the defensive side, but then on the power play, loves to step down and has the real good offensive presence. But.
No, and I think it's very similar in the sense where it's like, West Islip's got to contain those 3 of Anatra, Ivers, and Pepe. I think for East Islip's side of things, I think they have to contain Pollard. Like, you got to let somebody, again, Pollard's another one. We've seen him single-handedly win games. He won that game against Sachem. You have to stop him. If he scores 4 goals in this game, I don't like East Islip's chances. I don't. I think he'll be too hot.
I think that goes without saying, though.
That's true.
That has to be the guy you have to stop.
Right.
If they beat you because, everyone else had really good games, then they just showed up and played really well that night. But if you let Kieran Pollard score 4 goals, then it's a game you probably deserve to lose because you have to know going in. There's been enough time. It's not a secret anymore that.
And they've played each other, twice now? Maybe 3 times?
Twice. So they've played twice. That's the other thing I want to get into is the matchup. So they've played twice. East Islip has won both times. They won 7-1, and then they won 5-2. The 5-2 game, probably the closer of the 2, although East Islip got out to a 5-0 lead. So the key here is going to be, can West Islip rather stay in it? Because the first game actually ended up being a little bit closer in a sense. It was 1-1 halfway through the first, and then it took off. So can West Islip outlast those first couple? The second period is what you got to get through.
Yeah.
You have to get through the second period. If you're within a goal or two in the third, you have a chance.
Yep.
If it's anything else, if you let the game slip away, we saw it last night. It was 4-0 after 2 periods.
Yeah.
And you could just feel like East Islip was not going to play around much longer.
I think this is one game. I think out of the 4 quarterfinal matches, I think this is maybe the only game, in my opinion, where the first goal means so much, especially at West Islip. If West Islip can get that first goal, it's like you have to stay confident throughout. Like you mentioned, you gotta hang around. And if you can get that first goal on a real dangerous East Islip team, I think East Islip's got to play from behind, which they haven't done a lot of this season. They've been the ones that have been in control for the most part. So I think if West Islip can get that first goal, that's big.
Yeah. No, you got to come out and you got to punch them in the mouth. You have to get the upper hand. This is a game that, so like we talked about with Connecticut-Sayville, you need to be aggressive here.
Yeah.
You need to be aggressive because they're going to be aggressive right back.
Yeah.
That's just how they play. So if West Islip, I think the keys for them is you got to come out, you got to get Pollard hot, you got to get the first goal, and then you just got to try to lock down. You have to play to win. So many times we see teams play not to lose, and they play too conservative.
Yeah.
Play aggressive. You don't have anything to lose here.
Perfect way to
Go
put
out,
it.
go play. Use the speed that you have. They're a fast team, and they can be a physical team. Let the Merviacs handle the physicality. They have the size. They're going to go out there against Anatra and Ivers every time. And obviously it sucks because they're the away team, so they're going to have the first change.
Yep.
So East Islip will be able to kind of maneuver that however they choose, but as much as you can, try to get them to match up with them as much as possible.
Absolutely.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But we'll go now on to Kings Park, Comac, Connecticut-Sayville. Keys for this game, Kings Park, Comac stumbling a little bit here. Connecticut-Sayville as well. So these are two teams kind of searching for some answers towards the end of the season as to how to get the engines going.
Right, yeah, really unique matchup here with, both teams really stumbling to the finish. Connecticut, we mentioned in the last episode, 1-8-1 in their final 10, and Kings Park just gets their first win. They only had 2 wins out of 5 in the new year here, so I think that's interesting, and I think there's some questions to be answered here as far as the goal scoring goes for both teams. Again, it's ironic to say it in Kings Park's standpoint because they've been so dangerous this year on offense where they can essentially roll out whoever they want and they'll score goals. But as of late, it's been like, pump the brakes a second here. Maybe we gotta reevaluate our lineup situation here.
Yeah, they were absolutely scratching their heads a little bit. Not really sure what they wanted to do as far as a look goes, taking Brazel off the first line to try and shake it up a little bit. Dropping him with the Bozzies and Lemza, I believe that was.
Yep.
So they're just looking for answers here. Kings Park won the series 2-0, 4-3 versus the T-Birds in game 1. A game that came right down to the wire.
Prang had the late winner in that one.
Billy Prang has a knack for a buzzer beater, doesn't he?
Yeah, sure does.
And then they won game 2 pretty handedly, 8-3.
Right.
So a team with good familiarity here. It is going to come down to, can you just follow the formula that other teams have, and keeping Prang, Brazel, and Berhalter off to the end boards, forcing them to take long range shots, and then go down and try to get tips and deflections. I think it's going to come down to, does Matt Hughes somehow find a way to outduel Joseph O'Neill?
Right.
Because it's going to take a really bad bounce to beat him, because he's going to be pissed off.
Now, here's my key too, and again, I'm posing a lot of questions to you, so bear with me.
Please,
but do you feel like Connecticut's too undersized for this matchup? Do you feel like Kings Park has the advantage in the size department? Very open-ended question.
I think in a weird way, Kings Park is kind of even with them, size-wise. Maybe there's a couple bodies that they outrank them in, but they have some small defensemen, at least from my vantage point. It is so funny. You're up there in the booth, and then you look down on these kids, and they look like normal sized, little smaller people, and then you go down there and these 6-foot giants. We talked with Ryan Franks the other day from Nassau. He's 6'4". Obviously you can see he's 6'4" on the ice, so maybe a bad example, but these kids just look like they all pretty even. I think Kings Park has some on the smaller side defensemen that you typically consider. You have Marchese, pretty big body. Tom Fordy's not too undersized.
Fleischauer,
Fleischauer's pretty big.
Yep.
Mercado, I feel like, can hold his own.
Yeah.
Kennecott Sable has the smaller kids too, but I think it's size-wise, it's not that unbalanced as you think it would
Yeah.
be.
No. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Kings Park has the smaller defense in my opinion as well, but they're very mobile. Parator is mobile. We've seen Richardson pick it up as of late as well. One of the Quinn brothers is playing defense real strongly back there too. I think he's one where he can have a real big impact in this game as well.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to take is does your defense step up for either side. Kings Park has an absolute opportunity to just neutralize this game in the first period, set the tone early, get Brazel, Prang, and Berhalter going like you can. 3 goals in the first period, I think, is what it takes for them, and they're on their way to the semifinals in the first period.
Yeah.
If you score 3 goals throughout the game, who knows? That should probably still get the job done.
Right.
But I think it depends on Kennecott Sayville with are you translating your defense into offense?
Okay.
They're going to need to just play that conservative game of shut down and just move through the neutral zone, play clean hockey, stay out of the penalty box, and just move up the ice. Take what they're giving you and try to establish your offense. Don't just shoot for the sake of shooting. Take the calculated shots because that is what it takes to beat like a goaltender like Joseph O'Neill. You got to get the puck moving in the offensive zone, make him slide, cross ice passes, take a couple plays out of West Islip's book with backdoor feeds if you can. Use Marchese up the blue line, get Fleischauer into the mid slot, let him shoot from there. You got to find ways to move players around almost. In basketball, they talk about moving without the ball to create an open shot.
Right.
You got to be able to move, but it starts with your defense.
Absolutely.
You need to keep Kings Park at bay and then just move up the ice progressively. Almost in a grind down sense. Play like the Islanders.
Yeah.
Grind. Just grind. Grind them down.
Perfect way to put it. Yeah.
I think that's what it's going to take
Absolutely.
for them. They're not a high-flying offense.
No.
They're not.
No.
So grind down, take what you're being given, and move forward there and see what they give you.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned before about the penalty minutes and his Kennecott's got to stay clean. I think the one thing, I don't know if I'd call this a worry or concern of mine, is that, especially as of late, we've seen a whole bunch of teams just, quite honestly, go at it as far as physicality and just physical play as of late. Kennecott hasn't shown that throughout this season, but again, it's the playoffs. It's it's going to be faster, it's going to be harder, it's going to be heavier hitting. I think that's one where it's like, if you're Kings Park, you can't shoot yourself in the foot in this game. You cannot do it. Obviously, as of late, we saw O'Neill go for a little bit. We've seen other instances where some other players, I think one in particular that you've talked about before in the past is Hudzinski, who's been in the penalty box a little more often than they probably want him to be.
Sure.
So I think for Kings Park, that's one where you don't shoot yourself in the foot. You got to, you have the advantage in this game, straight up. Let's call it as it is. You have the advantage in this game from every statistical standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think if you're taking those penalties in instances where you're letting Kennecott hang around, I think that's one where it's like, a little bit of concern.
Like you said, on paper, this game should go to Kings Park. Obviously, you're the 2 seed. You're playing against a struggling 7 seed, but you just can't, like you said, shoot yourself in the foot. Don't give them more opportunities than they should be having.
Sure.
If you just play through the motions and play the game, skate, keep your feet moving, just play the puck, don't take those over aggressive chances. It's almost weird in a sense, like the game plan is the same for both these teams. Just take what you're being given. Let the talent walk you to the semifinals. Because that's all it should be. If they start getting outside of what they can do, if they try to do more than they've been doing all season because they feel like they're struggling, that's when the door opens for Kennecott Sayville, because you're going to make a pass that doesn't need to be made. It's going to end up on the stick of the wrong player like Fleischauer or Campanola or Mercado, and they're going to go down the other end. And one-on-one is where you're going to have to try and somehow evade O'Neill coming out of his net. If you can catch a break shooting early or making an extra move, like anticipating that he's coming out, because he sells out every time and he's won every time.
Absolutely.
So that's where I think if you're Kings Park, you just can't be too over aggressive, because you don't need to be.
Absolutely.
You don't need to be. This game should be very conservatively played. It should almost have an NHL style feel to it, of just slow, neutral zone passes, get the entries, get them deep, change, chip, go after the puck, and just take the game through the motions. Kings Park should come out on this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think they have all the advantages in their book. And you mentioned a good point, too, as far as the one-on-one battles, because at 5-on-5, it's going to be really tough for Connecticut to score goals. If it's those one-on-one, those breakaways, if they get a power play, like, I'll tell you right now, if Connecticut's goes 0-3 on the power play within the first 2 periods, forget it. I'd throw in the towel at that point. I'd write him off. I cannot, like, you have to convert if you're Connecticut's able. It's as simple as that.
And that's the other thing that we've seen. You can't get power plays and you can't give up shorthanded goals.
No.
That's what we saw happen last night with Middle Country. They got power play opportunities and they gave up shorthanded goals. We saw it with Smithtown too. Power play opportunities and giving up shorthanded goals. It's so momentum killing.
Yeah.
Momentum switching. And Smithtown just couldn't gain any traction last night.
No.
So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens if Kings Park just, honestly, in a weird way, goes through the motions. I think they win this game. So we'll move on to the next game of Northport, Huntington, St. Anthony's. Where do you want to start here? Whose keys are you looking at most prominently?
Let's start with the Ice Friars since they played last night. We have a little bit more of it's more fresher in our minds, if you will. I think with them, it's just keeping, like, they're at an all-time high as far as confidence. Obviously, we spoke to Nick DeAndrea last episode, and I think with them, it's just consistency is key. I don't think they need to. I don't think they need to force the issue. They took the season series to Northport both games. Now, obviously, both of those games came after their early season rut, so I think now is full all systems go with them. I think you're getting a real strong goaltending matchup in this one from both sides, whether it be Berhard or Olmschneider that plays, and then obviously going up against Spinelli. So this is one where I don't see it going 6-0 like the first matchup. I think this is more of a lower scoring 3-1, 2-1, 4-3 maybe.
Much more like the second game was.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yes, you're right. I think both teams are playing at their peaks right now, like you said.
Right.
Definitely a goaltenders matchup. I think it comes down to, can Northport hold the puck? They have to be able to connect on their stretch passes because that's what they do. But St. Anthony's is a smart defensive team. They're just such a smart team overall. Like, I don't know if you saw that play with DeAndrea last night that led to the DeLugos goal.
Yes.
So it was interesting because it almost happens sequentially where Jake Citron came out of his net to play the puck, and Monteleone crashed down on him, and Jake moved the puck, and they got out of the zone. So DeAndrea, a couple minutes later, same thing, same spot, honestly, comes down, and instead of going right at him, peels off. Jake swings the puck around. Nick slows it down, takes it away, sends it in front. Jack backhands it up, and then hammers it home. And that's the difference. Yeah. Like, they learn. They're very smart. They are such a smart team. You talk to Nick DeAndre, he's one of the most educated players of everything that's going on in the high school hockey league. So I have no doubt that they know what's going on with this Northport team. So it's just a matter of, do they continue to learn and grow and stay hot? They just have to continue to make good decision making. And again, not overstretch their boundaries.
Absolutely.
Just do what you know how to do. Play the game that you know how to play. If they continue to play their puck possession game, they're gonna walk away with this one.
Took the words out of my mouth because that was the next thing I was gonna say too. Is we talked a lot about the Ice Friars and how they're the one, I think, out of the 8 playoff teams in there, they're the one team where it's like, if they don't possess the puck and they don't have the puck for at least half the game, they're in trouble. And I think we've seen that so far to this point. I think last night, especially in the first, now granted, they were down 1-0 in the first period last night, but I think even in the first period, I think I felt, I don't know how you feel, I felt like they possessed the puck more than Smithtown did.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it just carried over all the way.
Absolutely. The Smithtown chances honestly came far and few between. It just felt like Smithtown was trying to play in sneakers on the ice. They just kept churning their wheels. So I don't know. It was just a weird game. In the sense of, it almost looked like St. Anthony's had it the whole time, but they slowly progressed there. And that's where Jake Citron comes into play, because he can bail you out of games like that where you might not have it going that night. But to have such a strong goaltender backing you, that's where it comes into play. That's where you can't overlook that success, and that's why it's nice for the Ice Friars to have those two strong goaltenders as well as Northport having Angel Spinelli. Now it's just a matter of does this new roster of players that was not, most of them were not here last year.
Yeah.
Do they get up in the playoffs and go crazy?
Exactly. Now, do you agree or disagree with the fact that out of the bottom 4 teams, 5, 6, 7, 8, that Northport is the most sound team defensively? Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I agree.
Okay.
I would absolutely agree.
I say that I agree too.
You're backed by 2 veteran defensemen in Savaglio and Paragallo.
Right.
Those are your captains. You have Ryan Collins, who has been a sound defenseman all year. Ruthkowski had a really good game against West Islip. I was impressed with his play.
Too,
so he's been playing well as of late. And then it just really is a matter of, who else shows up for you. Blake Belt can step back there if need be. We've seen him take up some power play time. Is Morandi going to be there for depth play? Is Ioannidis going to be able to play? So that's really their core defensemen. Those are the 6 right there. Paragallo, Savaglio, Collins, Morandi, Ruthkowski, Ioannidis, and they've been playing Spazzato lately, but he won't be eligible to play in the playoffs. So, I think combined with Spinelli and then having your core 3 of Savaglio, Paragallo, and Collins, I think it allows you to not feel bad that you don't have the home ice change because you can throw out your line shifts against. But this is where St. Anthony's has the advantage is they have 2 really strong first and second lines in the DeLugos and then the Monteleone Colavecchio line. So it's going to take all 4 of those defensemen in their core to really shut this team down. Along with the combined efforts of Spinelli. But I think Northport, if they keep playing with their identity of getting out in transition, they can take this game, but we'll see because I know that St. Anthony's isn't going to allow that so easily.
No, they're not. I like how you mentioned Colavecchio. I think he's playing really good hockey as of late.
He is.
I think he's really complementing both those lines, giving a little bit of an extra option offensively because obviously, the headliners, Cotta, DeAndrea, Monteleone, they're all going to get the bright lights and shining stars. Obviously, they're stellar players in their own right, but I think he's one. Nealon's starting to come along, and I just think that their depth is, again, Northport has the depth too, don't get me wrong, but I think this is the kind of game where it's like, damn, if all the guys for Northport were there a lot of the season, I'd really like this game to be really close. But I think the difference in this one is that, these Ice Friar kids all play with one another. They're playing in 2 leagues simultaneously, whereas Northport, it's like, okay, maybe Gaffinoff and Giacopi are there one night, but Belt and Collins aren't. Maybe Collins and Giacopi are there. Like, there's, you get what I'm saying? Like, there's not much chemistry there, I feel like.
The biggest key for them is going to be is everybody there. And you're right. There's not. Like, St. Anthony's, in a way, has, like, almost an unfair advantage playing in 2 leagues, but it also kind of balances out that it's not because you're playing 2 leagues. So you're a little more exhausted sometimes, possibly, but they have not let that affect them in the slightest. No, but it's a whole new team. And they took a lot of kids in from travel. They got some kids in from the draft. So they've been, trying to really find their footing, and maybe they have now. Maybe they're starting to build that chemistry because they've gotten some consistent play as of late. But you're right. It's, can you click at the right time with everybody there?
Yeah, that's the key right there. If you can put it's odd to say put the regular season aside, but you kind of have to. You put the regular season aside, you just say, look, let's buy in, go to work, and if you can take the puck away from St. Anthony's more than they can take it away from you, essentially, because once they take it away from you, odds are they ain't giving it back so easily.
Yeah. I think you got to force their defensemen to score in terms of Northport making St. Anthony's defensemen score.
Right.
They can score. Mancini, Cochran, Alamia, Valentes had a good year. But make them shoot from outside.
Right.
Make them, just don't let them get in close, because when they operate close, Cotta and DeLugos love to get in on the doorstep and be physical. Nealon and Colavecchio get down low and they'll They're not afraid to get dirty. Smith and Greziak love living down low.
Yeah.
Like, they're a down low, hardworking, grinded out team. If you force them to send the pucks up and let Cochran and Mancini and all them shoot from out high, you just gotta then in turn get in shooting lanes.
Right.
So
The one this isn't entirely a huge deal, but we spoke to a close league source a while back, clarifying the playoff eligibility. Marishada is 12 games played. The source we had mentioned is 13, so I don't think he'll be eligible. But again, they still have a really strong core defensive group that, like you said, Alamia, Mancini, and then Valente, Cipolli, Colavecchio, Cochran. I think that's a real strong group, and they have Castiglione too.
And they have Jablonski.
Yeah,
their defense is not.
No.
It's not a matter of. It's not a matter of if they're gonna have defense there. I'm saying for Northport, you need to force
them
their
to score.
defense to be the ones to beat you on the score
Got
sheet.
it. Okay.
Not a matter of if you can beat their defense. Because their forwards drop back and play well.
Right.
In the middle ground game of cutting off pucks and keeping players out, but Anthony Colavecchio is another name that I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
He's playing really well.
I agree.
But it's like look at other teams. They have defensemen that are up in the tops of the ranks of scoring. St. Anthony's does not. Their highest scoring defenseman is Alamia with 7 points. Their forwards are who beats people.
Yep.
They run like a traditional hockey team. You gotta make the defenseman shoot the puck.
Exactly.
Make them shoot the puck.
Yeah.
If they're shooting the puck, if you're limiting, DeAndrea and DeLugos and Cotta and Monteleone and Colavecchio and Nealon and Smith and Lentini and Greziak, if you're limiting their shots, you're having success against this team.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
But they do possess the puck and they possess it well. So that it's always hard to get shots off because they don't allow you to really have it. So
I agree.
But I just want to say before we move on to the last matchup, the keys, we see your guys' questions in the comment section. So we will be getting to those in a little bit after we run through some other stuff, but we will answer some questions before we give our picks at the end. So we'll answer some fan questions. So any more questions that you guys have, please leave them in the comment section. We do see them. We do appreciate them. And we are absolutely going to answer every single one at the end of this.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, now we will transition into the last matchup of the quarterfinals, the Smithtown Hop-Hog Bulls and the Sachem Ice Hockey Club. Perhaps the closest and most intriguing, but also the most opposite matchup that we have in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, one of the, in my opinion, this will be the most exciting first round matchup, at least for me. I think both of these teams have a real good rivalry brewing, a real good history this season. You had the opener that was 7-2, then Sachem responds, and then Smithtown ends up getting the season series over them. But throw that all in the trash can. This is one game playoff now. This is what people are going to remember in next week as opposed to the 3 regular season meetings.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we didn't really talk about a lot is that everything can kind of get thrown out the window in a sense. It's one game. It's 45 minutes. All it takes is one bad bounce. And, you're up 2-1 instead of being down 2-1. That's all it takes. And, we've seen the ice play in a weird way of it takes the puck away from kids. It just grabs, and they're, like, looking behind themselves because the puck's gone, and then the team's going the other way.
Yeah.
So we will see. Sachem's lack of defense. Throw it all out the window. You got to play defense for 45 minutes. You play defense for 45 minutes, like we said for Kings Park, you let the offensive scoring talent just carry you through. Yeah. You just got to play defense for 45 minutes. Clear out the front. Help Giulietti because he's a capable goaltender. He can play the net, plays it well, but he's going to need, assistance with making sure that there's no traffic, there's tough shots. But the defense is going to be the biggest key for Sachem, and then the offense is going to be the biggest key for Smithtown. Yeah. Because we know that they're going to bring the opposite. Smithtown's going to bring the defense. Sachem's going to bring the offense. So who's going to take an edge here, and what players specifically are going to bring that?
Absolutely, yeah. Smithtown defensively has been arguably one of the top teams this season. They've had a little shift we mentioned before. Agavino goes from defense to forward. They bring Colin McMillan back there, who's done a real good job for them. stepping into that defensive spot. And, Sachem, obviously, you have that bad man, 55, the captain, and it's good luck. Good luck with him. That's all I could say. I don't know about you, but that's
Oh yeah, no,
that's
he's,
my
he's not an easy player to stop.
no.
Because like we talked about with Kieran Pollard setting himself up,
Mhm.
Thomas Kankowski can set himself up with the best of them.
Mhm.
And then he can create for everybody as well.
Mhm.
So whereas East Islip has Anatra who scores a lot and Ivers who sets up a lot,
Mhm.
you get the mashup of Kankowski who does everything well.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
he's the guy that I could see Patrick Nolte having that assignment. George Zarugian taking a pair of handcuffs, slapping one end on Nolte and slapping the other end on Kankowski, being like, Patrick, go to work.
Don't let him go.
Go to work.
Mhm.
Because I think that's the type of physical presence that the Bulls need to bring against him, is that the way the style that Nolte plays, that just, go speed into it, run through people, kind of just physical, bust into you, hit them hard. Because if you get him neutralized, then everything else starts to slow down in the game for you. So it's a can if he gets slowed down, can the Sachem depth pick up?
Yeah. I'll tell you a story. So last night we had Smithtown obviously play their final regular season game. Spoke to Aiden Conlon before the game, and he was one too. Where they knew the implications of that game. They lose, they go to the 4 seed, they got to play Sachem, and he was one last year who, for context, played against Kankowski in the JV playoffs, the JV final. So this is an interesting one where half the guys on Smithtown essentially are from JV last year, half the guys on Sachem are from JV last year. There's history there, and these guys play their hearts out on the ice too. But Conlon was telling me, look, like they still get along for the most part, him and Kankowski, and he was saying like Kankowski told him, I don't like the physical play you guys bring sometimes on me. So that's one where it's can you neutralize him and just in Smithtown's eyes, can you frustrate him enough to the point where he takes an extra whack and he's sitting in the box for 2 minutes? And it's for Sachem's point, can Kankowski just tune it out or block it out and let his play do the talking?
Yeah, that's any speed player, right? Any speed and skill guy doesn't like to really take a lot of physicality.
No. Yeah.
Physicality guys sometimes have trouble with trying to neutralize guys that can maneuver and slip and dive, and it's called dodgeball: dodge, duck, dip, dive,
Right.
and dodge. So it'll be interesting because these teams are really just so opposite. They're so opposite. And Smithtown has really good scoring in Petito and Trites, who's been on a tear as of late. He's scored in every game since he's returned from injury, a point.
Yeah.
So, can you get the offense going again? Because it sputtered last night. It's played well as of late. You hit another lull with Kannaquat Sable in Middle Country. Maybe not putting up as many goals as you should have against teams like that. But you put up a 7 spot against West Islip.
Yeah.
You put up a 5 spot against Sachem, which was just 2 weeks ago. It'll be 2 weeks ago from the time of this playoff game taking place. So it's going to be teams that are familiar with each other. And I think it's the only game that is the 4th meeting of teams this season.
I think you're right. Yeah, Kings Park and Kannaquat played twice. Yeah, you're right.
So ultimate familiarity between these two teams. It really is. It's very simple. Does Sachem play defense, and can Smithtown score? That's really all it's going to come down to.
I have a third question. I have a third. Obviously, you said can Sachem play defense? Can Smithtown? Your second question there, and I think the third question for me is who's starting for Smithtown? Is Jake healthy enough? Obviously, he's in the live chat right now, and I don't think he's gonna reveal his cards as to his health at this point. But I think that's one where I don't think it comes down to if Pavone starts, Smithtown loses, or if Citroen starts, Smithtown wins. But I think that's a real that's a big shakeup right there. That's a change that Smithtown might have to that Smithtown's going to have to adapt to if Luke Pavone's starting in goal.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's not a knock on him. It's not a knock on either one of the two of them. I just think if you have Pavone starting, he's got to take that experience from last year, and I think that's got to fuel the fire for him if he does start. If
Yes.
Citron starts, it's different.
Yes. And, Jake Citron has been billed as your, he is your number one goaltender.
Yeah.
He goes,
I'll be alive.
I love it. So I guess it's not that serious.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
No. So I guess that answers your question.
I guess
so I
so.
don't have to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, but it comes down to that.
Yeah.
If Pavone were to start for some reason, then it kind of evens out the goaltending matchup in a way, right?
Yeah.
If Jake Citron's starting, you give the edge there. If Luke Pavone's starting, you kind of even it out.
Mm-hmm.
Either goaltender is capable of putting up a shutout, and they're also capable of having a little bit of a down night, and you can go at them.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting, but it starts with Sachem's defense. That goes hand in hand with how Giulietti plays.
Correct.
If the defense shows up, then he's capable of making the saves. But if he's just being slaughtered with shots, it's gonna be a long night.
Absolutely, I agree.
All right. Yeah, I think that is our keys for all these games pretty much.
Yeah.
So now, who are you looking at as your underdog upset alert? Who can make a run, much like the Connecticut Sayville T-Birds did last year out of the 5 seed?
I think, like you said, it just with the playoffs, it comes down to that one bounce. I mean, I'm not writing off Smithtown, obviously. I had very high hopes for them a few weeks ago, but I think out of the 4 matchups, I think, Sachem played well when they didn't have Konkowski against them back in November. They played well in the final stages of that third period against Smithtown a few weeks ago. I think if they channel that comeback sense and just use that momentum and their advantage, I like their chances to really make a run for it, because in Sachem's case, I believe they have beaten everyone this year besides East Islip, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think you are correct about that.
Because they beat St. Anthony's early on.
I mean, not a lot of teams have beaten
East Islip. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, and they played them to 1 goal without Konkowski.
Yeah.
So, yeah, without Konkowski. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's very similar with Connecticut last year. I think they had beaten everybody but Northport last year. They ended up beating Northport in the semis, and we know how the rest of that shook out. So, I think for me, it's between Sachem and Northport as far as who's the most likely of the upsets, only because Northport plays such a sound defensive game. But I think in Sachem's case, it's like, offense, defense, yes, again, the infamous quote, defense wins you championships, but offense can win you that game. The offense can win, and it's not saying Smithtown doesn't have the offense to combat that. They obviously do. But I think what we've seen with Sachem so far this year, particularly with their captain, their fearless leader, I think that's one not to discredit.
Yeah, no, it's not. And he, that's a man that's certainly single-handedly capable of winning you a game. Yeah. But I am a sucker for some good goaltending. So I think Northport definitely out of these 5 through 8 teams has the best chance. Do I like their matchup? Not really, but you get who you get, and you don't get upset.
That's exactly.
You could get upset, but no, I think goaltending is going to be the key here for some of these lower down teams. I think West Islip has a decent shot at being close too. It's really weird to say because I love East Islip. I love them so much.
Yeah.
They're so much fun to watch. They're so good. They're just so talented. They have everything. They have it all. Everything that you could ask for. They check the boxes. But West Islip's playing such good hockey right now. I think you just get put into a really tough space with the draw that you get being the 8 seed. Like, you have to go up against the one seed, and East Islip has been the undoubted number 1 this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all 3 of, like you said, all 3, 5, 6, and 8 have all had their respective share in the goaltending department. I love Giulietti. I love Spinelli, and then the two interchangeables for West Islip. Realistically, I think with Connecticut, I don't know if it's. I think in my case, I think they're out of those 5. I think I'm least confident in them to make the run, only because of the way how they finished the season. All 3 of those other teams finished somewhat. I either applaud the efforts that those other 3 finished, or just the way that they've played. Northport has played well as of late. West Islip gets into the playoffs late. The confidence has got to be up to here for them, and Sachem was one goal away from tying things up.
Yeah.
So I think with Connecticut, I think for me they're my least confident team to make that upset push. But again, it sound like a broken record. Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, so I'll ask you this in a different sense. So every one of these lower seeds, so every one of the lower seeds would have to play East Islip in the second round if you get the higher seeds that win out. So who of these lower seeds, 5 through 8, do you have the most confidence in to beat East Islip in round 2 or round 1 if you're going to pick West Islip, and then go on to the finals? Because that's what it's going to take, right, to make the Cinderella run. That's what Connecticut Sable had to do last year. They had to get through undefeated Northport in the semifinals. So if you were to say that, you know, East Islip wins their matchup, then out of 5, 6, and 7, who is your pick to get through their round 1 and round 2 matchup and make a run at the finals?
I'm looking here because the one thing I'm curious about is how Northport played. Okay, so 5-2 and 3-2. Interesting. I'm tempted to say Northport, but again, with them, it comes down to who's there. Like I can't, as much as I want. Believe me, I want to say Northport. I do, but I don't have you don't have a crystal ball in front of you. I sure as hell don't have a crystal ball in front of me. We don't know who's going to be there for the Tigers on even just Wednesday.
It would be Friday.
Okay.
So the semifinals would be Friday.
Okay.
It would be a 10:00 game on Friday.
See, and
so let's say that everyone's there.
For Northport?
For anyone. You get full rosters because who's having travel practice at 10:00 at night?
But who's going away for travel on a Friday night? That's
sure. Well, let's just say there's no travel restrictions.
Okay.
You get full rosters, full picks, or you can even pick West Islip if you like on Monday.
If you're giving me full rosters and that guarantee that there's no travel, I'm taking Northport then.
But East Islip also has their full roster disclosed.
So are you asking if Northport?
I'm just saying, who do you think matches up best with Northport
with East Islip?
East Islip in terms of trying to get through them on a Friday matchup to clinch a spot in the finals?
It's between Sachem and Northport, but I just defense wins you championships. I like Northport. I do. I think they're the ones where if it's gonna be one of those bottom 4 to take East Islip down, it's gonna be them. They've played them better as of late. Spinelli had to make. We did that first game with East Islip and Northport. Spinelli, I think, made 45, 46 saves. He was north of 40. I tell you that right now. He was north of 40, and they were light that game. It took a lot out of East Islip to go ahead and beat them, and Northport just is 1 goal short on senior night against them. So I think it comes down to the defensive battle there. Again, East Islip, in their own respect, have done phenomenal on the defensive end, but I think out of those bottom 4, which of them has the best chance to take them down? I'm going with the Tigers.
All right. Yeah, I can't say I disagree with you. I like them too. I really like them. Yeah. Something about them just sits well with me.
The only other thing I could say is Sachem, in their case, again, we've seen what Kankowski does in the playoffs. Wouldn't surprise me if they did it either.
Yeah, it just for me is their defense. Because East Islip has the defense, Sachem has the offense to match, but it's the defense for me. Their defense is it's suspect, to put it nicely. So it's just going to be a matter of, can you play 45 minutes of defense night to night, not have to worry about keeping it up for a full season.
Totally.
But, all right, before we get into the picks, our picks, let's get into a couple questions here in the comment section.
Nice.
So Danny302 says, since you guys have seen all of the high school teams all on Long Island, who is the best team in your opinion, Nassau or Suffolk?
Okay, so non-Catholic league. Okay. You want me to start?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, if it's he wants like high school hockey coverage.
Okay.
Chaminade is
miles above.
That's
sorry to say it there.
Class.
Sorry to say it, Long Island hockey.
That's another class. But no, yeah. So Nassau or Suffolk. You could give me both. You could give best team in either county right now, in your opinion.
Who is the best team in your opinion?
Nassau / Suffolk.
Best team. Ooh. Right now or in general? Because right now I'm giving it to Belmore.
Okay. Okay.
I'm giving it to Belmore.
Why?
They're the most complete. They're the most complete, and it's so funny of me to say because I've been oogling over Syosset for the last, 2 months now, and I've said, oh, they're gonna be my pick. They're gonna win it all, but they showed me something. Presti's a big loss for them. When we covered that game on Sunday and Presti wasn't there, I was like, I was like, that might be trouble.
Yeah.
Didn't phase him.
I'm just glad you picked Belmore because I wanted to pick Belmore,
Okay.
but I also wanted to pick Syosset because I just think that their size and when they're again fully rostered, they're pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah.
But I loved Belmore, Mary.
Yeah.
I loved Belmore showing on Sunday. But both teams were short.
Yeah.
They were. And did Belmore Merrick get a good bounce in that game?
Public school. Okay.
They might have.
Yeah.
Maybe they did.
Right.
We'll never know because we just don't have the angle. But I think Belmore Merrick is really good. I think Syosset's really good. I think I give the edge to Syosset right now.
Yeah.
Again, like we talked about it with the East Islip thing, if everyone's full rostered, I want to see that play out because both teams were short. So what is it going to look like when everyone's there?
Yeah.
So
I think right now Belmore is my pick. I think long term, as far as the season, I think once late February comes around, I think overall, I think it'll be Syosset. I think that the talent there is just incredible. But again, it's a matter of who's playing well at the right time. Belmore's playing well at the right time, and that means the world to these teams, especially the ones that end up winning it all. St. Anthony's played well when it mattered most last season. They won it all. Pequot was playing well when it mattered most. They won it all. Long Beach was playing well. They lost in the finals, but it was in overtime. That's what it comes down to, in my opinion.
Yeah, nope, that's absolutely what it's going to come down to. So we'll see. It should be good. I mean, in terms of Suffolk, I think East Islip has what it takes to go up against those teams and go toe-to-toe with them. I think they play that physical style of hockey that we see more so in Nassau than we do in Suffolk. It's very run and gun and just, if you're next to the boards, just put yourself up against them because here it comes. So, I think East Islip would have the best chance to match up with any of those teams out of the Suffolk teams right now. But we'll see what happens, who's left standing when the dust settles at the end of this next 2 weeks. Next question from Strictly Jets. Love that. Talking about who I think you're talking about. Are you guys going to do a Nassau playoffs preview after the regular season ends? And to put that as blatantly as possible, we're not sure. Yeah. Maybe we'll do another live, maybe on Monday before we go cover the quarterfinals. Yeah. This has been pretty good. It seemed to work out pretty well. Yeah. So maybe we can do something in the middle of the day again, just early on to cover that because that time frame is so tight.
Yeah, for
their turnaround.
Yeah, I was gonna say for context, their last two. I don't know if there's more than 2 games on Sunday, but the last 2 regular season games that we're covering is Sunday night in Long Beach, and you want to talk about playoff implications? That's
as implicated as it gets.
Yeah, exactly. So the last 2 games that we cover are Sunday night, which happen to be. Okay, there's 4 games that Sunday, but 2, I believe it's just 2 of. Okay, no, Bethpage and Bethpage is the other game. So 3 out of those 4 have playoff implications. The last game of the regular season is Sunday. Their first day of varsity playoff action is Tuesday. So ideally, the only day we could really do it is Monday, unless we were to just do as 32 Thoughts has the car cast coming home on Sunday night from Long Beach.
You want to rip off Jerry Seinfeld's Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
Exactly.
Hockey playoffs in a hot rod?
Exactly. So Monday would be the only ideal day that we could do something like that, or unless we were to do it somehow on a Tuesday midday or morning, but it
wouldn't give people a lot of time to watch that before that kicks off. Yeah. So maybe on Monday, maybe we'll do this again. This has been pretty good, so I'm liking this.
Okay.
So we'll see. Yeah. But we want to. It's just a matter of can we.
Yeah.
So
we'll see.
And the final question that we have posed here in through all of the other weaving comments of go this team, go that team. Jake Citron loves Ryan Clark. Thanks, Jake, for that. Jake Citron also wants to know, now that the season's over, what is the game of the year and why is it the 4-4 Kings Park Smithtown game?
That's To me, it's between that. I said this one a while back. For me, it's between that one and it's the 8-7 West Islip in overtime.
That was a crazy game.
It's one
That
of
was a
those
fun
two
game.
for me. I think ideally though, I think it's Kings Park Smithtown just because of what was at stake there, and just again, like we weren't sure of the turnout because that was a Super Wild Card weekend, and blown right out the door there. We had, between the people there, the viewers that were watching, I think that was just incredible, and the back and forth of that too. Smithtown's down 3-1, they tie it, end up taking the lead, and then what was it? 5 seconds to go. Billy hits the
5
tying goal?
seconds, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby Trett scored with a minute and a half
Yeah.
to give Smithtown their first lead, and then 5 seconds left. We know what happened. I think that the Kings Park Smithtown 4-4 game is right up there. I also think the Smithtown East Islip 5-5 game, part 2 of the ties, it was a phenomenal game. That was back and forth late,
Right.
and then I don't know if anyone's ever seen this, but or I guess you have, but go back and look at the end of that game. You see at the buzzer sounds, Jesse Burns puts the stick over his head. Looks like he wants to snap it. Like, holy cow, we can't believe that just happened again. Yes, Jake, we hate weekend games too. We hate weekend games.
Yeah.
No fun.
Yeah.
But no, there have been some doozies this year, and something tells me that the best game of the season isn't going to come out of the regular season. It's yet to be had. So, since that's it,
It's time.
I don't see if anybody has any more questions. We'll answer them after this. Vin, it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. We're exposing ourselves
That's it.
to freezing cold takes, one by one, all the way to the end. What are your picks?
All right, so we'll go in order here as far as the days go for the quarterfinal matchups. So 1 to 8, East Islip, West Islip. Again, on paper, doesn't look so great, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what it says there. I'm taking East Islip though. I think they come away with this one. I think their defense is going to be too strong for the Lions to overcome and prevail with. I have East Islip in them. Are we doing final scores, or are we just picking the teams at this point?
Go as far as you'd like. Maybe for the finals, we'll do some scores.
Okay. All right. So I'll take East Islip on Monday against West Islip in the 1v8 matchup. Oh, we have more. Yeah, it's just weekend games. All right.
Jake doesn't like weekend games.
No. The nightcap to that one is Kings Park, Connecticut Sable. I'm taking Kings Park in that one. I'm not even gonna think twice about it. Sorry, Connecticut Sable. I know you guys have had your beef with us
That's
this
been
season.
a long time coming out of you, that pick.
Yeah.
Shocked.
Yeah, apologies to the T-Birds fans because I ain't thinking twice about that one. I think it's Kings Park all the way. I think their offense is too lethal. I think O'Neal is gonna have a real strong matchup. I don't think Connecticut has the offense to, at the very least, even match up with the Knights at this point. Taking Kings Park, and we can move on to Wednesday now. The quarterfinal games with 3-6, 4-5. Northport and the Ice Friars. This
is your doozy game.
The state finals. The state finals rematch.
Your trap game.
Yeah, this is the trap game.
But the rosters are so different.
It's close, man. It's gonna be out of the four. I think this one is the most. This one is the most likely to go to overtime. Out of the four, do you agree?
No.
No. Okay. It's Smithtown Station for you, isn't it? Yep. I give a slight edge to St. Anthony's, and I only say it because they've had all their guys there. I think the chemistry means a lot in the playoffs. I think that's the big deal for me right there. I think it's St. Anthony's, and I don't think they win it by more than 2.
Wow. Okay.
I give it to the Ice Friars.
All right.
And then we have Smithtown and Sachem at 4 and 5 here. Real close one. I think this is another one where it's going to be close. I think this is the second most likely to go to overtime, and I think this is the one where I think if we put a poll up and see what the fans think, I think this one would be split down the middle in my opinion. No pun intended. Smithtown's warm-up song being split by the Chainsmokers. Oh gosh, this one's so tough. It really is. Oh boy. gun to my head, I'm picking the Bulls.
Wow.
I'm taking the Bulls.
Wow.
So
Big
now,
pick there.
yeah. So now you got to do your quarter. You want to go back and forth, or you want me to just go right through?
Do you want to go the whole way? We can just go the whole. Whatever you want to do. Do you want to go the whole way, or do you want me to go?
Let's go the whole way.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so that would put no upsets. 1-4, 2-3. That's on a Friday.
Yep. So you have EI, Smithtown, Hauppauge. The finally we get to decide a winner.
A winner.
It's 6-6 right now. Let's just start the game at 6-6. EI, Smithtown, Hauppauge, 10 o'clock Friday night in the rinks. Go.
Good luck. Oh boy.
And I hope you realize what you've done for game 2 of the semifinals.
Yes. Yep.
This road you've led us upon.
This road I've led us upon. So, a few episodes back, I had mentioned East Islip was going to be the way too early team to win it all next year. The question is, are we pushing that forward now? Are they the team that wins it all this year? They tied both games. Smithtown, East Islip. What did I do to myself here?
Hey, man. It's not an easy job.
No, it's not. It's not at all. I'm going East Islip.
Okay.
I'm going East Islip.
Sure.
I think it's just... I think that's a real emotional game for Smithtown over Sachem. I think it takes a lot out of them. I like the veteran leadership they got there, but I just think... I don't know. I think East Islip is going to just... They have a little more than them. I think offensively, I think they have a little more than them. I think the defenses are equal, but I think East Islip's got a little more on the offensive side of things.
Sure.
And then we have Kings Park, St. Anthony's, both of those. St. Anthony's split? No, they didn't. Or did they?
With Kings Park?
And St. Anthony's, yeah.
St. Anthony's won the series.
It was 2-1, right?
2-1. They lost the first game.
3-2 was the overtime.
And then they won in overtime, and then they shut them out 4-0. And this is also a rematch of last year's semifinals.
Correct.
So this is what you've said.
Yeah, no, listen, I love it. That's those two have been going at it for the last 2 years now at this point, and boy. You know what?
Painstaking decision.
We're gonna have a new champion this year.
Okay.
I think Kings Park takes it. I think they're too senior heavy, Dylan. They got to do it this year. They have to.
St. Anthony's is pretty senior heavy.
They are, but they have the organizational depth that I think Kings Park doesn't have.
Sure.
I don't know. I like Kings Park this year. I think they got to do it this year, and that puts us at a Kings Park East Islip championship series, best of 3. East Islip has lost both.
Yep. Only team the Chiefs have not beaten this year.
It's going 3 games. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay.
It will go 3 games like
Sure.
last year. That would put us at a Saturday night matchup, a winner go home matchup. It's tough for me because Kings Park's been my pick all year. Do I have the
It's your ride or die, man. Ride or die. So for reference, Kings Park won game 1 6-1, and then won game 2 6-4. They are the only team all season that has put up multiple 4+ goal games on the Chiefs.
Interesting.
Conor McGrain beat them in that game 2 over Brody Dixon.
I was gonna say I don't think Dixon.
And then game 1, it was O'Neal over McGovern. So we haven't seen O'Neal versus Dixon yet this year.
Yeah, and that's probably gonna be the matchup in goal. I would say so at least. All right, on to the head. 3 games, Kings Park in 3.
Wow.
That's the pick.
Wow.
Put it up there.
You heard it here first,
Put it
folks.
up there. All right, this is a lot more pressure than you think it is. So it's your
Oh,
turn.
I believe it, but I think I have a pretty decent path laid out for myself. But just so we have it on the record, Vin Matula has picked Kings
That's
Park
right.
Comac over East Islip in 3 games to become the Suffolk County champions in the 50th season. I believe for either squad, that would be their first Suffolk County title.
I
I
think
know
so.
the history dating back to 93, 94,
Yeah.
but prior to that, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I know the last 30 years.
Mhm.
But here we go. Prime time.
That's it. Let's hear it.
Feel like Boomer. Game 1.
Okay.
This is a no doubter. This is the easiest pick I'm going to make so far. Give me the Chiefs.
Okay.
Over West Islip. There's no doubt in my mind.
Easier than Kings Park, Connecticut.
I think it's. All right. Hold on. Well, I think it's going to be a close game.
Mm-hmm.
I think West Islip puts up a nice fight, but this is some low key team of destiny stuff
Okay.
that I'm seeing out of East Islip,
Right.
and I'll explain why later.
Yeah.
Later. Next game, Kings Park, Colmac, Connecticut, Savelvin. I'm not wavering off your line. I'm taking the Knights. I think this is an interesting game for them. I think they're down, but I think it's the game that they needed. I think in a weird sense, they are safest being the 2 seed. Would you love to have been the 1 seed? Absolutely. You want to win and you want to get the best position possible, but for the Knights, the state of the Knights right now, I think that this is the game that you needed.
I was like, why are you laughing?
Matt Hughes is checked in, that's why.
Yeah, that's.
No, I think this is the game that they needed. I think going up against West Islip would have spelled trouble for Kings Park. I think going up against Northport, I think going up against anybody other than Connecticut Sable spells trouble for the Knights right now. But I think this is their get-right game. We've talked about it a lot.
Okay.
They found 6 goals against Ward Melville eventually, which is good. They just got to get the guys rolling again. They'll get a little time off, and they'll be right back at it. And this is a team that could get hot, get dangerous. They're gonna take it to the T-Birds on Monday night.
Yeah.
And now we get to the interesting territory of Northport, Huntington, St. Anthony's.
Hughes better say you're a hater too. I don't want to just cut you off here, but.
Nah, Matt Hughes, my dude.
Oh, come on.
I'll throw you right under the bus. No. Nick Quinn, cameraman for LISN and board honcho, certified #1 Connecticut Sayville fan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Get that. Matt Hughes, sign that man a jersey. Get him one. I'll pay for it. But back to
It's
it.
a Wednesday.
Wednesday now. Northport, St. Anthony's. Vin, I think you're right. I think we're going to have a new champion. But we're not going to know this after the quarterfinals. It's a close one, but it's the Friars over the Tigers.
Okay. Okay.
I'm on it. Thanks, Matt.
Is that your closest game in the quarterfinals, in your opinion?
On paper, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think they're the closest matched up team. I love the Tigers. I love everything about them. I love the way they play. But I think that they're, in a way, going to try to hit too many home run passes.
Yeah.
And it just is not going to work in trying to beat the Ice Friars. They're too sound of a team. It's a team that is going to take it to the Tigers and find a way to win that one.
Right.
And now we move to the tough luck game. And this one might break some hearts.
4 and 5. Here we are.
4-5. I'm a hot dog boy. You know
I'm a
that.
Smithtown boy.
People know that.
Uh-huh.
People love it. Sachem's Young Gun.
Mm-hmm.
My fantasy baseball team name this year. It's the Young Guns.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sticking with them. My Young Guns. We're going to go upset alert. Sachem
Okay.
over the Bulls.
Hey, yo.
Put it down on paper. It's happening.
Ooh. Jake Citron's about to call you the biggest hater
Let's
now.
go. Bring it. I want it.
The Suffolk County High School Hockey League goaltenders are going to be at wit's end with us
I want it. Give it to me.
Monday night.
Give it to me. So now I've set myself up. The same semifinal matchup you had in your second pick on Saturday, but I get East Islip, Sachem.
Mm-hmm.
And East Islip isn't losing, man. So I got them
agree.
over Sachem.
I agree.
Sachem didn't beat him this year. They're not beating him again. East Islip's too much to handle. Give me the Chiefs over Sachem. Battle of the Featherheads, looking at each other. East Islip. And now we come to the rematch. Kings Park, St. Anthony's. The rematch. Team of Destiny. Kings Park can get it going against Connecticut Sayville.
Sure.
Can they get it going enough to beat the Ice Friars after they've lost to them back-to-back times? They might be able to.
Okay.
But not on Saturday. Give me the Ice Friars over the Kings Park Comac Knights.
Wow.
And give me the Ice Friars going back to the finals.
Okay. Just so you know, we have Matt Hughes and Jake Citron going at it in the chat right now at us. We might need we might need protective security this week.
We'll take them out on the golf course. It'll be all right.
Actually, oh no, I will be there. Okay, so Wednesday you'll be there. Monday I'll be there. So yep. Matt Hughes might be hitting me over the head with a hockey stick this week.
Perfect. Yeah, Matt Hughes will get you Monday, and I'll get Jake Citron Wednesday.
I won't be there Wednesday, so I won't be able to defend your honor on Wednesday.
Yeah, so since that's gonna happen, I'll just excuse myself to the bathroom so you can take some more pictures with the Middle Country Cougar fans.
Exactly.
Now, my finals: East Islip. I am LISN security. Thank you, Nick. East Islip, St. Anthony's. That's my finals.
In the best of 3.
I've had this locked in, and I've been telling you since the calendar flipped and they got hot that this is my team. I'm going to ride and die with them. I doubted them last year. I will admit. I was a hater last year of this team.
Yeah.
Hated them. Not hated them, but just didn't think they were going to do anything. When I found out they were coming up to states, I was like, that's nice. Not winning it. Our boss, Mike Brown, oh, they'll be good. Didn't believe in them. Didn't believe in what they were doing, how they were going to do it. Nothing. I believe in them this year. Give me the Chiefs in a sweep. 2-0.
Wow.
East Islip, 2-0. New champ.
We will have new county champion per the LISN overtime.
Give me the Chiefs 2-0 over the Friars. We go home on Friday or Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
New champs.
Wow.
The East Islip Chiefs, undisputed #1. They go up to states to try and look and claim a state title to add to the trophy collection. They get their first county championship in their 30-year history.
Brody Dixon was in the live chat before. I hope he's here and he could get excited about that pick right there.
This team has been in contention since 94, I believe it says.
Yeah, 94. Yep.
So this is their 30th season of hockey. They haven't won anything until this year when they beat the Ice Friars. And Ryan Anatra is crowned your MVP.
Anatra.
So we can do that too.
Oh, okay.
Who's your finals MVP?
Finals MVP. Okay, so I had the Knights in 3 over East Islip. Knights in 3 over East Islip. Thinking how that series would play out. I think it's Mikey.
Brazel?
Yeah. You know what it is, too? And I say that because he had a little bit of a rough stretch to end the regular season. You had mentioned on the broadcast when they played Ward Melville, he's got to get going. He found a little bit of a groove against West Islip. Not a stellar, not a 4 or 5 point performance against West Islip, but I think the playoffs is where your name gets remembered for a long, long time. And I think Mikey Brazel's name is going to get remembered for a long, long time in that postseason run.
Heroes get remembered. Legends never die. It's good stuff, man. Jake Citron's asking, are we going to have ice level cameras during the game? Not totally out of the question. I'll see what I can do as far as putting that into the works. It's also going to depend on who's available to work.
Right.
But we have the capabilities.
Yeah.
Now, it would have to be recorded exclusive Instagram footage, I believe. Unless we can get a ton of people there to work, like as a tech, I would need a technical director. I'm not calling and switching games. I'm not going to TD and PXP myself.
Yeah,
that's it's not fair to you guys as far as the quality of the games go. But would love to do something like that. At the bare minimum, I hope to get some GoPros down on the boards for you guys like we had at States. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
So we have GoPros available. So we'll put that into the works over the weekend, and Jake, we'll get something going for you, dude.
Terrific.
And then he also asked, top 4 teams go to States. Yes, that is correct. So, actually, no, not correct. The 4 quarterfinal winners go to States.
Yep.
So whoever wins Monday and Wednesday, you have also punched your ticket to States. I will reiterate that on the broadcast at the end of those games. Congratulating those teams when they punch their ticket to States. So I will have East Islip, Kings Park, St. Anthony's, and SCHSHL on my trip up to Saugerties with me, and you will be sending me East Islip, Kings Park, St. Anthony's, and Smithtown.
Yep.
So it looks like for you, it's East Islip, Kings Park, St. Anthony's, Smithtown.
Yep.
East Islip over Smithtown, Kings Park over St. Anthony's, and Kings Park over East Islip in 3. I have East Islip over West Islip, Kings Park, St. Anthony's, and SCHSHL. And then I have EI over SCHSHL, St. Anthony's over Kings Park, and EI over St. Anne's in 2. And Ryan Anatra is my MVP. And you have Michael Razzle.
Yeah.
Top scorers from both sides. Well, that would be some fun playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So yes, the top 4 then, in your words, Jake, go to the States. Yes, I see.
He's giving you the thumbs down. This was fun.
No, it was very fun.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to see if there's anybody else. John, I do not keep track of his whereabouts throughout the day. We do get some periodic check-ins from the young man just to know that he's still alive, so that's nice.
He was last seen at the Clark Gillies Ice Arena at Open Skate before.
But that's it.
Fun starts Monday.
Oh, yeah. I cannot wait. Should be a lot of fun. I'm glad you had fun, Jake. Thank you for tuning in and making this worthwhile for us. But, yeah, thank you for everybody that tuned in. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry to disappoint some people. But it's just the heavy is the head that wears the crown,
That's
is
right.
it not?
That's right.
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Well, I say let's do that hockey.
Let's do it. Indeed.
And let's do it on Monday. East Islip, West Islip kicks us off 8 o'clock on the LI Sports Network.
Right.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again. For Vinny Matula, I'm Dylan Flynn. This has been the Suffolk County Playoff Preview. Our opinions are our own. All that good jazz.
Exactly.
Whatever they say. So you got a problem with it, you know where we are. Or not. But we'll catch you next time when the playoffs start on Monday right here on the LI Sports Network.